Hello everyone, thank you for sticking by. We're here at the Liverpool Regional 2023, ready for the semi-finals. I'm Marcos Pataro and I'm joined here by Mike Ellis. How are you feeling
Your name
today?
sounds so much cooler than mine. When
Well,
you
because
say
I'm pronouncing it right for
yeah,
once.
Mike Ellis, and then whatever you said, I'm not even going to try. We've had a great time here at the Liverpool Regional. We've been through 14 rounds of Swiss. We're now in the top 8. We're going into the semi-final, where we are excited to find out who will be making it all the way to that final here of the biggest regional in terms of attendees in Europe. Was it over 800 people? I haven't actually heard the official number.
It was about 750 for Masters.
Not quite 800 for Masters.
In total, it was like 1,500, I believe. The total across
with
all
video,
the games
with
here.
VG, and
yeah, we're heading into the semi-finals. The people we'll be featuring are Leon Kesselring from Switzerland and Radzwolp from Israel.
Yeah, Raz has an amazing history, having done so well in all the events of this season.
Very consistent player.
Very consistently in that top 64, making day 2, and then a few top 8s too.
Top 8'd last year, last year in terms of Pokemon play before COVID hit. 2019, the Pokémon Regional, playing Mewtwo Mew, very sweet deck. Other than that, most recently he made 10th at Regional Stuttgart, unfortunately on the bubble. Regional Warsaw 45th and Regional Lille 29th. Very consistent player overall.
Yeah, indeed. Top 8s in the past, a top 2 at the Regional Harrogate back in 2018, but hasn't won a regional yet, so hoping to change that here in Liverpool. And on the other side, Leon from Switzerland playing that Mew VMAX deck.
Specifically, the turbo version that we have seen before in the winning against Lugia. This may be the revenge of the turbo disruption version. I think this list also run 4 copies of the turbo energy, only 2 copies of Judge, 1 copy of Roxanne, but most interestingly this version runs 4 cross switches.
Yeah, and to find room for that, I think they've gone a little bit thinner on the Path to the Peak Lost Vacuum package, only 2 of each, where sometimes we see even more Path, even more Lost Vacuum. So
before Luca Miele on the 14th round played 3 judges and 3 paths, he will only see 2 and 2, but 1 Roxanne this time. On the other hand, we have a classic Lugia V-Star skeleton deck. We have 1 hit energy, a bit thinner on the energies, and in terms of decks, 1 Cologne and 1 Lost Vacuum.
Yeah, so experience of Raz hopefully coming through here, where Leon only made top 32 in 1 regional from what I can tell, so a little less experienced. And I'm not sure if that flag's correct there. I thought they were Swiss. They might be German. We'll find that out for you guys, so you can cheer for your countrymen if you are from either of those countries. Either way, Raz here from Israel, going to be the more experienced player, having had so many top finishes in the past, and playing Lugia V-Star, very strong deck right now.
Exactly, so he goes for a Kamabot right off the bat. Leon gets ahead. Very happy for him. That's exactly what we want to see. Very likely to grab one of those VIP Pass. 4 copies played basically in every list. You just need that early start. Drawing so many cards is just central to this strategy.
Early chromatics are always so juicy for Mew. If you can get it on that first turn, you can get the Battle VIP pass out to start spreading that bench wide and getting as many fusion Pokemon out to increase that Fusion Strike system's effect, drawing up to the number of fusion cards in play. So Leon, a great start here.
So in the prizes right now, just having a quick look, there's a boss order for Mew VMAX and the Roxanne, probably the 2 most relevant cards there. 1 copy of that Turbo Energy, as I mentioned before. Only 4 energies being run. It's just insane that a deck can run such a low energy count and still do so well, but that's just the power of the Mew VMAX Fusion Strike box. Instead, Raz in the prizes has a Yveltal, which is always a pretty good attacker. We saw it before when Kim played on round 13, granted him a knockout on the Mew, but he will have to play accordingly. He started also with a Mana Fee, which
Yveltal has pretty much single-handedly made Big Parasol a viable card, because you need it to block out the Yveltal attack, and you can actually see 1 Big Parasol on the side of Leon. Hopefully we'll get to see that used at some point to block out the Yveltal. And you can see the Oricorio down, and this is a beautiful start here for the Mew VMAX deck.
This is fantastic. Like, he has the Seal Stone attaching already to a Genesect, but what's more, actually decides to discard the Judge. I'm pretty sure he has a money in hand, but he already has for next turn Path to the Peak, plus any hand disruption, and which is great. Raz is really enjoying this. Really
Raz is just nodding, going,
yes.
"Hey, I want to play my turn.
Yeah, I want to
please.
play my turn. Unfortunately, you're against Mew, therefore you will have to witness a lot of card drawing, a lot of deck searching, and the magic trick that your opponent does by halving their deck out of nowhere.
Yeah, so we've seen the two different builds, the turbo build like this one where there's potentially part of the peaks in play, there is the Lost Vacuum, a lot more disruption. The other build, Meloetta build, tends to use that Forest Seal Stone early on to start being aggressive, whereas on this occasion that Forest Seal Stone will be a great backup to get you out of a potential path that you might put down yourself.
Leon decides to just go for a quick ball, thinning out his hand. He was about to hit one of the first bricks of the Mew VMAX. Or not bricks, one of the first decisions
I would say this is anything but a brick.
No,
right
exactly, sorry. That was not the correct word. He discards just
mean.
2 cards. He had an Ultra Ball and some power tablets that I think it does not
when
want to
the Genesect system runs out of steam, is what
exactly.
you're thinking. We can no longer keep steamrolling through
But just
the deck.
look at that. So many cards already. Basically, his initial hand is in the discard. By now, 7 cards in the discard. 5 Pokemon into play, a Stadium, and also the ability next turn to tutor any card with the Forest Seal Stone, and a pretty good hand with 6 cards and 2 pieces of disruption.
You done now, Leon? Yep, there we go.
Yeah, there we
it's
go.
now time
like
for Raz to try.
I would like to put down 2 Lugias, find maybe some Archeops, and pass the turn. Thank you very much.
And if that is possible, then we are in for a great game here. If not, the consistency of that Mew VMAX deck has set a clock there for the Lugia deck saying, if you can't do it next turn, then you're going to be behind for the rest of the game. And that's where the Path of the Peak will start to come into play on turn 2. And we'll be seeing whether Leon can start disrupting the route to that summoning star for the Lugia V-Star.
Lugia V-Star's second turn, their second turn, is the most crucial for them. They need to get that summoning star. 2 Archeops is obviously the best outcome. 1 Archeops in some instances can be good, but it's just better to have 2, honestly. Therefore, Raz will be trying to do that exactly. Right now, just going through his deck, understanding what is in the prizes. We'll realize there's not much in terms of Lugias. And especially against this version of, any version of Mew where a knockout can happen so very quickly, you need to be able to bench 2 Lugia V on turn 1.
You spoke about early turns that are important. I think the research of the early turns is always interesting to see because that's before you've had a chance to use the Archeops' ability and start getting special energy out of the deck. So you can often draw into 7 very clunky cards that you do not want at that time. So if that research that was got out with the Luminion does come down, then we're going to be seeing a lot of potential self-disruption from this next hand. Let's see what we get.
Lugia with energy and a tool expected to be a choice, but that's the only tool he runs. Let's see what Raz drew into here. And 1 other Lugia, perfect. That's exactly what he needed.
Other than that,
it's always interesting.
Sorted.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you make an energy attachment with this Lugia deck while you could draw into a capture energy. You'd run 4 of them because you want to set up so consistently, and therefore attaching energy may preclude you from that option. Yeah, right now it's back to Leon evolving to the Mew VMAX, already looking scary.
Interesting on Raz's side, there is no Stadium in his list. He does have the 1 Lost Vacuum to try and bump a Stadium, but really not an ideal setup for going up against a deck that has 3 very effective Stadiums to disrupt you.
1 Lost Vacuum, 1 Pump Kaboo, and that's it. Once those are out of the way, you will be locked. But once again, the Lugia deck does not really care about constant Stadium control, especially if it's Path to the Peak, so ability lock. It much cares if that happens turn 2. If it happens turn 2, you're in for a ride.
Well, you've also got the attack as well.
Exactly.
The Tempest Dire can get rid of Stadiums. So there is ways to get rid of it later on, but I am concerned a little bit about a turn 2 Path to the Peak here and the accessibility to remove it. As you mentioned, there is both Pokemon Search and the Lost Vacuum that can be drawn into naturally, so lots of ways to get to it.
Right now would be very happy to see even a single copy of the Cross Switcher because he has the ability of using the Forest Seal Stone. Let's see what I think that was a Judge that he just drawn. It's always fun. By the way, here's a tip for your tournaments. Whenever you play Judge, you should raise your hand and scream it as loud as possible to confuse all your local judges. Very fun. They will love you for that one.
Is that a local joke for you guys?
Yeah, we do that every time.
Oh my goodness!
Like, Judge, and we see our local judge like walking through it. No, sorry, I was just playing Judge.
I've never heard that before, and because of that, I'm sure your local community
they're very,
are a tricky
very
place
glad.
to judge.
They're very glad. So right now, double view VMAX on the board. That's 6 prizes for you, Raz, but will you be able to get them at all? Now he was able to find that that boss order using the Visa. Let's see what he goes for. I'm suspecting the Lugia V will be called to the stand.
I want that one.
Yeah, that one, please.
Get rid of that choice belt.
And Path to the Peak to follow it up. Raz right now has the wall, the first wall that he needs to go over, and then you will be met by these 2 massive Mews, 310 HP, which you are not. I mean, you are prepared somewhat to do, but you just use your choice build. You just use one of your powerful energy. Therefore, the knockout with Lugia is out of the question. You cannot get to that 330 damage.
Yeah, really needing the Yveltal, which is in the prizes now to get attacked. No guarantee that will come off the early prize takes.
Exactly.
So we can see that that is the case, but for Raz, they're not going to be able to rely wholly on that strategy.
I'm 90% sure there is no way for him to get a one-hit KO at the moment. There's no option in his deck, considering the Yveltal is out of the picture, to get a knockout. But first, before we start thinking about that, Raz needs to find a way to get rid of this Path to the Peak. He just searched for a Archeops. I'm pretty sure then he has some something in his hand. I'm gonna guess a Professor Research, something of the sorts of that. But he absolutely needs to find either a Pumpkaboo or the Lost Vacuum.
I mean, you explained earlier why there was 2 Lugia needed in play, and we've seen exactly why that's the case, because there was always the potential for a gust onto one of the Lugias, and now you see the remaining surviving Lugia that is there, hoping to get into a Lugia V-Star this turn. And it's not just about that, it's about how do you get the abilities activated.
Here's
Path to
the
the Peak.
Monkey.
So that was through the capture, so that you can't get the Pumpkaboo that way, has to be put into play, so would need a Quick Ball or an Ultra Ball to find it through that, or naturally draw into it through some of the supporters like Research.
Absolutely. So Oranguru right now is gonna. He has a Professor Research in his hand. He's probably just trying to save up a card. Very interesting that he did not go for the Pumpkaboo. He may already have an answer into his hand. Let's see, there's a Lugia V-Star. Is there anything else?
One more piece needed then.
That looks like a Professor Research. When you hold your hands like that, you're about to like, oh, here's the cards I'm going to dump.
Yeah, the typical gestures of a Pokemon trading card game player. You can see them from across the hall. I wish I could handle cards as well as some of these players do. You know, the way they flutter them around in their hands. Yeah, it's very satisfying to listen to. But we'll be seeing what Raz hopes to do here. Just thinking through. Doesn't want to discard any useful resources, so discards there with the Professor Research, a Luminion, a Boss, an Archeops, and I didn't see what that last card was, but the Luminion and Boss, definitely tough resources to remove.
Exactly, Professor Research, Luminion, I think there was also a Quick Ball in there. Or maybe the Constant Cologne, I'm not too sure. The color scheme is pretty similar. Right now, Raz looking at 7 fresh new cards. Did he find a way to get rid of that pesky Path to the Peak? He's shaking his head. I don't think so. He went for the Orangur right there. Oh, there's a Lost Vacuum. Okay.
There's a way. Archeops in the Lost Zone is not able to come out with Summoning Star, but we will see 2 from the discard pile here.
The issue right now is that his bench is very clogged up. If I were him, I would maybe try to get the Luminion V to get bit shuffled into the deck. That means you free up one of your slots, but at the same time you still have a mana fee. Not very useful this game. You started with it, unfortunately. Oranguru is pretty useful, but yeah, I think Lugia's, I wouldn't say biggest weakness, but one of its side that you always need to consider is that you will always have about 3 slots in your bench that are committed to it. While for Mew, that is also the case. About 6 of your slots will need Fusion Strike Pokemons, but those Pokemons always net you some value.
Yeah, value across the board with the Fusion Strike system. And then we do see the Energy committed to Luminion, as you mentioned, needs to free up some space on the bench. And so getting the Aurora Energy and a Double Turbo Energy onto that water-type Pokemon there, Luminion is going to be trying to get an attack off this turn.
Absolutely. So he wants to go for the Double Turbo. That's going to mean that Luminion is going to deal only 100 damage. Luminion V attack requirements is 1 water and double colorless. This will mean 20 less damage. However, on a Mew V that has 310 HP, will bring it 210, therefore pretty much granting a knockout through the Lugia.
And the Oricorio as well.
There's also an Oricorio to factor in. This may be really the differentiating factor. Let's see what Raz is planning here.
Yeah, so the 80 damage might be relevant later on. We mentioned nothing can one-hit knock out a Mew VMAX for the Lugia V-Star deck until that Yveltal has taken out the prizes, as all the other resources are too thin right now. Choice Belt removed from play, Powerful Colorless removed from play, and so yeah, this 80 damage might be the tipping point for the next attack from the Lugia V-Star. And the other advantage as well by using that double turbo energy there is it means just one Archeops is needed to power up the Luminion. So the other Archeops can be used onto the Lugia V-Star on the bench. And we'll see what happens later.
So right now Raz decided to tutor only for one energy for the Primal Turbo. Decides to use Primal Wisdom, exchanging one card. Retreats the Mana Fee, and now Luminion says bye-bye. He would like to offer once again the Mana Fee, but we know that Leon runs Chuba's Order, one has already been used. But most importantly, 4 copies of that cross switcher, of which he already drew one of the prizes.
All right, well, we'll see what happens next turn for Leon. But at this stage, I do feel like Leon is in a strong spot with how well their first turns went and how tough it's been for Raz. We did see the shake of the head from Raz. You know, these players are very smart. They can see ahead in the game. They know typically where it's going. They know there is a chance for them to make it. But based off of Raz's body language, he's aware that this game is not going as hoped.
Exactly. Leon on a pretty stacked hand. I judge 2 power tablets. He can even go for the knockout on the Lugia if he feels that's the correct way to go. I would agree that is definitely better than knocking out just a Mana Fee. Decides to Lost Vacuum, exiling a Path to the Peak, removing his own. That's just to thin out his hand, but it's very interesting that they decided to not use anymore the Path to the Peak. Obviously, Luminion is back in the deck now, so that's one less option that could have cut off Raz. And once again, Path to the Peak in Mew cuts off also your possibility to use a Fusion Strike system. Therefore, he feels like it passed its peak point.
Really nice judge there. 2 double turbo energies in the hand. Not something you want to be seeing at this stage of the game. Just going to clog it up, so able to shuffle them back in. And still 2 Fusion Strike systems on board. So to dig deep enough to get one more damage modifier to get that knockout on the Lugia V-Star is the key. Currently 30 damage short on it. And so either a Choice Belt or a Power Tablet is the only option.
Exactly. So he still has access to 2 Fusion Strike system. At least 2 cards more here for Leon to see on top of the 4. But look at that Ultra Ball already there to discard. And as well,
this could be it.
Come about. Let's see if we go. Let's see if that's ahead.
Oh,
we don't know. Yeah, I think Raz nodded, so it's a Tails. He's gonna draw 4 cards. One more come about.
We can have another go.
We can't just get off this wild ride.
Come on, another Cramomatic. Give us the heads. Give us the heads. Come on, Leon.
Leon right now is going to go right for it. The Raz is really praying. Where do we go?
There it is.
There's the head.
Oh.
I think Raz understands what's about to happen now.
Hey, look. I don't like the heads or tails like any other player, but when someone gets a tails followed by a second roll, it always feels right to give them one of the 2 rolls, as it feels like it's been skillfully executed by them. So goes for the Power Tablet, gets it out. That's going to allow the knockout on the Lugia V-Star, putting 2 prizes left there for Leon. No 2 prizes in play for Raz. Can go down a single prize route, but having 2 prizes left versus the 6 of Raz is a very strong position for Leon.
And this is really the power of the Mew deck. Going over its damage cap through those power tablets is really where Mew makes the distance. Also allows City just to make sure. I think he just wants to thin his hand a little more. Taking a look at the bit more cards, thinning out his deck, because at this point, as long as he connects also next turn, I'm pretty sure he is in a great spot.
All right, so just thinning out, guarantee the end of this game. And at this point, I'm sure Leon and Raz are very aware of where this game is likely to go. But with the advantage in semi-final of a extended timer, you know, having that full 75 minutes, it does mean with these high-paced game plans like these 2 decks are, you are likely to finish all 3 games if you just play all 3 of them out. So they're not as susceptible to scooping in the top 8.
Exactly. You cannot tie in a top match if you're not gonna have a prize advantage. You're gonna be here until tomorrow. I don't know if there's any clause that's gonna stop us from doing so, but yeah, good question. Thank you for looking at me, Connor. If you have time, look that up. But in the meantime, Raz just promotes that Archeops. He's just having a think about what are his options right now, because the Yveltal in the prizes actually really hurts right now. That could have been a way for him to get back into the game, but at that point, when it's in the prizes and you already exhausted some of your resources in terms of energies, what are you going to do at this point?
try and take a prize and hope that Yveltal's the next one. But easier said than done, because Yveltal could be way up in those prizes and be one of the last ones to be taken. We know that it's likely to be one of the first here, so we are just begging Raz to take one here and hope that they get the Yveltal into play and start getting that comeback. Yeah,
maybe try to charge up the Oranguru, get a Monkey Slap in the game with that whap down, 70 damage. That's something never to get out of
Powerful
sight.
colorless,
Yeah,
you know, it's available.
Powerful colors, 4 powerful colors from their Oranguru is going to deal 110 plus, no, even more, 150. Jesus. We just cracked the metagame.
I guess with the 80 damage on the Mew VMAX, there is potential for the Stoutland with its bigger attack, because it's one of the few basic normal types in the deck that can hit that higher number. You know, typically we don't see it attacking with Wild Tackle, but 200 plus 60 from the 3 powerful colors that are left in the deck, that could be an approach there. There is also the Radiant Charizard. At this stage of the game, will be attacking very cheaply with just a Heat Fire Energy or an Aurora Energy. So options are available. There's Charizard. It's been taken out into play, so we'll see that is the route taken here. And as we mentioned before, a single prize route is possible. That's an advantage of the Charizard over the Stoutland, is it does mean that the prizes available are only 1.
Exactly. Excited Heart, the ability of Radiant Charizard, makes it so that his attack only costs 1 Fire Energy, 250 damage, and the Pokemon cannot use it next turn, but usually the Pokemon does not survive 1 extra turn to be able to Breathe Fire again. Right now, that Mew VMAX looking towering. Maybe Raz can even up a bit the prize race, but he needs to be able, and I think he's still playing because of this, because he knows the Yveltal is in the prizes, and there may be a way for him to get back into this game.
Well, essentially, if he gets this knockout on the Mew VMAX in the active, and then gets the Yveltal out the prizes and is able to knock out the other Mew VMAX, then that would be the case there. But then that's where, if Leon can spot that play, can do some stuff like target the Archeops on the bench rather than going for the Charizard and find ways to disrupt it there. So it's not fully in Raz's control if that happens, but it does mean it's an out to the end of the game.
Yeah. So one more Primal Turbo really using all his abilities. Even if it ends up in a failed search, you can always just have a look at in your deck, but I think it's just going to touch an energy in case, so that he has a retreating opportunity next turn. But yeah, I think Raz exhausted most of his resources at this point. For Aurora's 1 Heat Energy, I'm pretty sure there are some in the discard pile at this point.
Double Turbo, I don't know if that's risky, because that could have been used for the Yveltal.
The Yveltal needs that double colorless in its attack cost. Maybe Raz already has an energy in his hand, and he will need to look for the other ones. So let's see what Leon has to say about all this. There's going to be Combustion Blast taking the knockout on the Mew VMAX that was already damaged before.
Perfect math there.
Yeah.
250 minus 20, 230 on top of the 80 that was already there. That's going to be taking the knockout.
Exactly. So 3 prizes there. The Yveltal is finally drawn from the prizes. And now Leon could easily, if he finds a Gust Effect, just lock Raz out of the victory, I feel like.
There's the big Parasol that could come out here to try and protect the Mew VMAX.
Yeah.
Have we seen the Lost Vacuum used by Raz yet? I can't remember if we've seen that.
Yeah, he used it before to when he lost his own Path to the Peak to just to thin out his hand.
So no, on the side of Raz, he used it on his Archeops to get rid of the Path to the Peak. So the Lost Vacuum has been taken away by Raz to guarantee that the big Parasol will stick.
There's the Gust.
Genius.
Leon read it correctly, making sure that there's no comeback possibility here for Raz. Ooh, this is a very thin matchup. And even this small choice, I mean, this is not a small choice. Every choice you take in this game will basically grant you either victory or loss. He even draw the Roxanne off the prizes, so if something happens, this may happen. The Pokemon is lost because of Lost City, the judge points out correctly.
I think I want to do a little quick check with you guys in chat. Did you guys see that? Did you see the Archeops as the route there? Or were you thinking, oh, get rid of the Charizard, and you got it there? I've been signaled that you guys in chat are very smart and did in fact see that as the route, as did Leon. Leon playing well under pressure here on stage. As mentioned before, Leon, this is one of their top finishes ever. I believe before now, 29th was their highest finish, so definitely pushing into the realm of experience. And on the other side of Raz, you know, he's been all the way to the final but has yet to win a regional. So that experience is key at this stage, being able to perform under pressure, being able to perform under all the fatigue from the long weekend of games. And we do see Leon there coming in and making the right move.
Exactly. So now Raz just filling out his deck, looking at what he has left. He does have access to the Yveltal, but the Yveltal needs 5 energies to attack, and poor old Archeops is going to give you only 2 energies at a time. Therefore here, Raz, I'm not sure what you're about to do, buddy, but it better be good.
Yeah, me too, but I'm sure he knows that there is plenty of time. Still not even into 50 minutes, which is the typical time length of a Swiss round. So plenty of time to try, find out all your outs. And the Yveltal is still an option, but it will just take 2 turns to power up. Yeah. So just hoping that the Mew VMAX on the bench isn't possible to attack because a Technoblast was used. It needs to be able to retreat and reset. But it will just be scooping here.
Raz
and
says
done.
No. Okay, we're going into game 2 here. The Mew VMAX player taking the lead. Obviously, this was a real big showcase of how much pressure the Mew VMAX deck brings forth. Okay.
Okay, Leon.
Yeah.
Okay, respect. No. We got to respect these guys. Look at that.
Yeah, is that another team from some other game that I haven't played?
I don't know. You have to let us know if that's a particular pose. But
Team's call, maybe.
I think. I mean, I don't want to bring it up, but I think there was a dab in there. It is 2023, but there was a few dabs
we have
in there.
confirmation there was a dab in there. Unfortunately, we are going to game 2, maybe seeing more dabs if Leon takes another game.
Well, I mean, the future sight from Leon, smart like Zatu. Did a great job there, making the right move at the final. Exactly. But yeah, we are here in the semi-finals here, Liverpool Regional. Yeah. Game 1 just there going to Leon. Raz will be looking to get it back in game 2. I'm sure you guys at home have been following along, but if not, on the other side we have Stefan Ivanov versus Mikey Block. It wasn't it? Mikey,
yeah,
I think Mikey won.
It was the Gudra against the Lost Box Rayquaza matchup, which we are suspecting may go into favor of the Rayquaza. But Stefan is an excellent player, and he will definitely fight tooth and nail to get into that final.
Mikey Block, the last standing UK representative here at the Liverpool Regional, and Stefan Ivanov, one of the best players in the world, having got top 3 in terms of CP in Europe since the modern day Pokemon trading card game. But on the other side, as we mentioned, Raz, well, really looking to try and get that first regional for them. The Israeli player is hoping to do that here with their Lugia V-Star. Leon taking game 1 here. The Swiss representative will be going into game 2 with the advantage, 1-0 up. Let's see how game 2 starts off. The basic Pokemons are down. We'll see what they appear to be. This can be a defining moment in the game as we go into game 2.
So the really good thing about the Mew VMAX against Lugia matchup, well, once again, Manaphy start, great. He just loves to stay there. Look at you, Manaphy. You always want to steal the spotlight. But in any case, the Mew VMAX, at least the turbo version with the judges and the path to the peak, you're basically always granted to try to have the chance to disrupt your opponent, because if you go second, you can just go, well, I'm going to set up, and then at the end of my turn, judge into path to the peak. Best of luck to you.
Indeed. And I don't know if you feel this way. Every time I see a Lugia V-Star player playing with 3 Lugia rather than 4, and they start with a basic that isn't Lugia, I like to think, oh, you got punished.
You got punished.
You got punished for your count.
That extra percentage, sir. But yeah, interestingly enough, Leon has 2 Genesects in the prizes, 1 Mew VMAX and 1 Double Turbo as well. 2 Genesect is nothing to scoff at. Basically, that forces you, if you want to have that full bench, to put 3 Mews, which is always dangerous because you're very unlikely to evolve them to Mew VMAX. On the other side, Raz has, once again, that poor Yveltal just is very shy boy, just wants to hide into the prizes, does not like the spotlight.
Raz getting a bit of deja vu here, starting with that Manaphy. Yveltal in the prizes. Hopefully we'll be able to get it out eventually, but there is no way to get it out of the prizes for them. No Hisuian heavy ball. So we'll be seeing what Raz's plan is this time. Maybe able to keep the choice belt in play to get the powerful colour up and running for the Lugia V-Star attack. Otherwise we'll have to see a slower approach similar to last game and hopefully get it to work this time.
Exactly. So Leon's start is a Mew, probably the best starter because he has free retreat. And also probably one of its best attackers. This is not the Fusion Strike version. Raz realized at this point, therefore he's not fearful of damage since the turn 1. This time he may even concede to himself to just put one down. One Lugia and one Lugia only going first, and in fact that's exactly what he's going to do.
That Charizard was about 10 degrees short of being played
Indeed,
there.
indeed.
So just holding on to it. Don't want to overbench at this point. You know, every card matters on the bench when it comes to Lugia V-Star, especially when you're starting with a Manaphy, because that can clog up your bench too. But only one Lugia V in play. You mentioned last game how important it is to get the 2 Lugia in play when going second.
It's necessary. It's just because, like, if you try to be greedy, don't put the second Lugia. Yes, you're giving 2 extra prizes to your opponent. That's not great for the prize rate. But imagine if instead the single Lugia that we have in play gets knocked out. Then you have to wait one more turn, put one down on Lugia. Imagine if that get knocked out even. So, like, it's an endless loop in which you can never get out unless you just make the safer play, putting down the second Lugia and offering 2 prizes to your opponent.
But with no Meloetta threat this game, Leon won't be able to get that turn 2 knockout. So that Lugia, very safe on the bench there, will save putting too many Lugia into play. Can go down more the single prize route, which is one of the joys of this Lugia V-Star deck, is you can use your single prizes as attackers and help in the trade. Indeed. But we see there, Battle VIP Pass. Both the Genesect that are available are in play. The Oricorio and the Mew come down. And we also see a Forest Seal Stone ready to protect for future turns in Leon.
Exactly. Leon off to a great start once again. The Mew VMAX has such a low variance in terms of good starts. It's just like you play Mew V, your first turn is granted to make you look at an insane amount of cards, really. And in the following turns, it's when you need to keep up the pressure. There's going to be some more draws here for Leon, packing up to 4 cards. Collapse Stadium. Unless you're Alex now, that won't be a problem.
Yeah, we see the Charizard being held last turn. That definitely will help in the case of a Collapse Stadium, but it will be discarded there with the Ultra Ball. Collapse Stadium not as relevant in this matchup. It can be useful, but it will be more of a hindrance to the Mew deck than it would be to the Lugia deck at this point. So really hoping to get towards that part of the peak and spread as wide as possible in this first turn, especially with one less Genesect access for the draw engine.
Exactly, and once again, Raz will not have access to the Yveltal. Leon doesn't know this, obviously, but at the same time, this means that one Mew will need to be double knocked out if a powerful energy is not used correctly and in the right order, which is you know, something that may happen. And Leon real power spike of general of the Mew VMAX deck is when you go, I'm gonna Technoblast, but since I have played these 3 wonderful candies, they're gonna deal 90 damage more, taking the knockout out of nowhere.
And that V-Star marker being flipped over for the Star Alchemy on the Forest Seal Stone, and it gives access to that part of the peak. So key to get it in that turn 2. Leon recognizing that and using that Forest Seal Stone now doesn't have access to it to get himself out of the part of the peak, but will have that disruption, hopefully to remove the Summoning Star ability of that Lugia V-Star next turn.
The Lugia V-Star deck operates so much on the existence of their Archeops. Like, it needs Archeops to work. The deck without it does not work at all. But instead, the Mew deck, as long as you have a Mew VMAX, which he does because he has an Ultra Ball in his hand, and you start hitting every turn, that's really the strategy of the deck. Like, you keep doing that every turn, you are granted that your opponent is going to feel the pressure. And right now, Raz is thinking about what to do. I'm not too sure what he has in his hand, but as long as he has a way to remove the Stadium and discard the Archeops and put them back into play and being able to attach those energies, he will be in a pretty good spot.
Both Raikou and Charizard in that hand. Not ideal at this point. Raikou not the ideal attacker in this matchup. But we'll now be using the Marnie to try and find access out of this part of the peak. Now, what's interesting also with that Marnie is it might make it harder for Leon next turn, because that part of the peak does also affect Leon, and there's lots of cards you do not want to see in Leon's deck. I think there was a Lost City there, so we'll be able to bump himself.
Or the Escape Rope and a Battle VIP Pass. So, not a great hand here for Leon. Depends if Raz's hand was better. He goes for an Evolution Instance, thus looking through his deck for a Evolution Pokemon, likely to be an Archeops since the Lugia V-Star is already in there.
Maybe with the Yveltal being prized again, going to go down a similar route to last time where they did it with the Luminion to get the chip damage on the Mew VMAX, but instead this time might do it with the Raikou. Maybe that's the route Raz was thinking through here, which is why they played it down with the Marnie.
Going 100 damage, 100 damage. 20 less because of the Oricorio. Is great to set up 2 Mew VMAX, but interesting enough, now Leon is very likely to have 1 Mew V always, which means that you will have the opportunity to go Psychic Leap running back into the deck.
But with the Raikou having it on 2 different Pokemon is ideal, because then it means you can't Psychic Leap it out. So gets rid of 1 of the Archeops now with the Aurora Energy, and it's just going to be passing. It's just going to be passing because of the path. Mixing up my words there. So
this must feel great for Leon, because at this point he has the Lost City into his hand. He can unlock himself out of that pesky path to the peak.
What an escape rope.
Yeah, escape rope there. Golden escape rope, very nice. Putting in front that Raikou, so now Raz does not have access to that option that you were thinking about before.
Couldn't put forward the Lugia though, because I mean the Lugia could survive a hit, but it's way too risky when it's so important for that summoning star.
210 damage minus 20, 190 with just free. I mean, free just is not the correct word. But here we go. Professor Research 7 fresh cut for Raz. Leon decides to just chill for now.
We mentioned the path to the peak, plus an opponent Marnieing the Mew VMAX that played it can often put the Mew into a disrupted state. One of the original strategies to go against Mew VMAX was Marnie path. So if they put a path into play and you Marnie them out of their options, it can make it quite awkward for them. The Star Alchemy being there was so useful in the first turn to get the path down, but is typically a safety net to get you out of path, and on this occasion wasn't useful.
I think what Leon was gambling on right now was Raz drawing not the great card. He had only 2 cards in his hand. He didn't seem too pleased about his own money, so he thought maybe doesn't have a supporter. I'm just going to keep the lock on. Hopefully I draw into a Mew VMAX. I think he regrets that now, but I wonder what his thought process is here. He could have drawn some cards with the Fusion Strike, but only having 2 Genesect, his chances of drawing into a Mew VMAX and start attacking were a bit slim.
So we see Archeops being discarded there.
Great.
Luminion available. So Luminion will need it to be played after that part of the peak is removed from play.
Yeah, I expect he has a Pumpkaboo already in hand. I was about to say, if he quick balls for Luminion, it's likely that he already has a way to get rid of that pesky path. Oh, also, on top of that, you never know, you also have that Lost Vacuum.
Yeah, Lost Vacuum key as well, because the bench space was starting to get pretty tight with the Manaphy from the start, the Raikou there. Had he put the Pumpkaboo down, it would have been all 5 Pokemon available, then that Luminium would have been available. So, yeah, just trying to keep that bench space as open as possible. So that Raikou route that we mentioned is now an option, being able to attack 2 Pokemon at the same time. Might look to get rid of the Oricorio to guarantee that lower damage output being removed from play with the Oricorio. Might look to get 2 Mews so that it's got both of them within range of other attacks. So we'll see what the plan is here with this Raikou 120 to 2 Pokemon. And just checking through the deck to make sure everything that he's planned in his head is available. As we know, Raz, a very good player, will be checking all of the outs throughout this game.
Exactly. So right now the Raikou will be able to hit 100 and 100, setting up 2 Mew VMAXs for a knockout throughout any damage, basically any of the sort of damage that Raz has access to. 2 of the Archeops onto the bench. This must feel great for him. The Manaphy is just there as a mascot, and the rest of the and now Raz is open for a normal game.
Just sending out the capture energy there onto Archeops. You can use it as a retreat out later on. But yeah, we've got the 3 Aurora energy on the Raikou. So we'll go on the Mew and the Oricorio. So we're going to be removing that damage reduction on the Oricorio, getting 1 prize. So that will now put the Mew VMAX into Genesect route as an option available. Lost City comes down, part of the peak now removed. And that, oh, it was already removed anyway. Part of the peak has wasn't going to stop the Genesect this turn, but you see the Chromatic now looking to motor through that deck now. So Leon back into the active game plan.
Exactly. So a Tails here on the Cramobot, unfortunately for him. But right now, I mean, once you set up your game plan as Raz did, the Mew VMAX deck doesn't have healing. First of all, the only option he has is to run back into the deck with a Psychic Leap.
Oh, 2 Tails in a row. Poor Leon.
No. That's very unfortunate. So every damage you deal to the Mew is likely to stick. Raz here obviously has his game. I mean, his game plan is solid. He's definitely playing to his outs. Remove the Oricorio, thinking that he will basically take 3 prizes from the Mew VMAX and then 2 prizes from the Mew V or a Genesect.
So you see one of the undamaged Mews has been evolved into a Mew VMAX. It has energy on it, and it's going to be looking to get that knockout on an Archeops there. So that's reducing the potential for your Veltal in the future when that eventually gets taken from the prizes. At this point, Leon can't know where it is, whether it's in the prizes or not. Raikou now still available. Would potentially be able to get a knockout on the Mew that's on the bench by doing damage to the active and the bench Mew. But the Lugia in the active spot can now start getting powered up too.
Exactly. So Raz, just going through his deck right now. I wonder what he's thinking. There's an Irida. I really like that card. I really like the inclusion of Irida and Skyla. That seems to be the standard at this point for these lists. Having the opportunity to always look for a out. There's going to be an attachment here. Powerful energy plus that capture energy. Let's see what else he has there. That's going to be a Luminion.
Oh, this is it. We were just talking about the Irida. So we mentioned
Yeah,
how
Skyla
is a great card in many of the Lugia V-Star decks. You know, Tord was testing it on stream and said how great it was. But all the scenarios that he mentioned, you can pretty much get with an Irida anyway. So the items you want, the choice band, choice pelt, sorry,
yep.
the cancelling cologne, the lost vacuum, all of those can be got with the Irida plus the benefit of getting a Luminion. Now, you can't get a boss's orders like you would be able to with Skyla, but you can just get that with the Luminion that you get out with Irida anyway. So a great option. Thins 2 cards as well. Gets you access
Tempest
to Luminion. Everything great.
To not discard the Stadium once again. I feel like most of the players forget about this, but yeah, I'm not too sure if it would have mattered at all this game. Both of these decks do not play any recursion from the discard pile. Therefore, now Leon is, I wonder what he's going through his head. He's thinking, how do I stop him from keep doing this? Because if you don't, look at Raz bobbing.
Yeah, I mean, Raz knows this game's well and truly in his hands. Like last game, Leon could feel pretty comfortable. This time, a Lugia V-Star hitting that 310 on the Mew VMAX requires the 3 powerful colours and the choice belt. I'm in my own head now about choice belt. And so that was just in range, and that puts them on 2 prizes left. Your Veltal taken from the prizes. Can't really attack with a Veltal now because all the Aurora energy has been used on the Raikou anyway, and so it is just about trying to get those final 2 prizes from a Genesect or a Mew that's unevolved.
Exactly. So right now he's going for, there's a Power Tablet and a Roxanne. Roxanne is one of those cards that can really flip a game on its belly, making your opponent draw only 2 cards. As you mentioned, it's something reminiscent of N, although that's a completely different card, not starting the Flame War, and bringing 6 cards inside to your hand.
Okay, so we'll see how this game pans out. At this point, Raz is sitting very comfortably in a I only need 1 turn to win position.
Yep.
And so we'll just be waiting to see what comes out of this Roxanne. Meanwhile, Leon is going to be looking to disrupt as much as possible. Needs to get a knockout here on the Lugia V-Star and then try and disrupt a way of getting a future attacker powered up through that Roxanne.
Exactly. The oh, there's go. Please a head for this man. Yes, finally a head. First heads of this game for him at least.
So now he just needs the Mew VMAX, right? Oh, he needs a Mew VMAX or a damage modifier. Because he's got 1 power tablet in play, a choice belt on that Mew, and then needs to find a way to get the Mew VMAX in play.
Indeed. 1 damage modifier plus the Mew VMAX and the choice belt. You need that extra 90 damage because due to the double turbo negative effect, you do 20 less damage. And the Lugia had 280 HP.
Just trying to find the outs there, just trying to work out what is the best option. Gets the damage modifier, then that guarantees that, and so we'll have to find the Mew VMAX or vice versa. If he gets the Mew VMAX, then we'll have to try and find the damage modifiers.
He goes quick ball, they're just agreeing that it won't be another shuffle because the deck has just been shuffled. He's going to evolve into the Mew VMAX that has, very importantly, 100 damage on it. And now, yep, Genesect activation.
Okay, finds the Ultra Ball. Of course you find the Ultra Ball after going for the Mew VMAX.
Very unfortunate.
It's useful to thin, though.
Yeah, I guess. It's always nice to draw Ultra Ball in this deck in the late game. It was a great addition when it was reprinted, because now you have the opportunity to discarding 2 cards plus playing the Ultra Ball not grabbing anything, meaning you go to -3. Also a quick ball, they're both agreeing. Okay, I'm just going to give it a quick shuffle. You can cut if you like. Very few cards left. He absolutely needs this power tablet. Without it, the Lugia will not go down and pretty much grants a knockout next turn on whatever gets put into the active.
I think there's 2 power tablets left, if I'm not mistaken. There might be
I
3.
think so.
But yeah, there we
There
go.
it is.
There's a power tablet. There's another power tablet.
For a rainy
And
day, Amani as well, but has already been used. The Roxanne. I think the path to the peak is also there, but I'm not sure if he will go. If he'll decide to play it, he will. Lost City will say goodbye to us.
Takes away the access to the Luminion that was taken last turn.
Indeed, that's the important bit before. It's always nice when you stop your opponent from basically cutting them off from 1 out.
And Radiant Charizard would be a great attacker at the end here. Wouldn't require too much energy acceleration and can hit those big numbers to get the knockout on either that active Mew VMAX or a Genesect. Or any Pokemon in play, pretty much, but now would need a lot of energy to be able to do so. So this hand from Raz, he actually drew the Yveltal off that Roxanne card right now that is not useful, and is going to be looking to get some special energy here. As we mentioned previously, there is only 2 outs to Removing Stadium for Raz. One is the Lost Vacuum, which has already been played, and the other is the Pumpkaboo, which can be searched for with basic Pokemon Search or general Pokemon Search, which is available in the deck, Quick Ball, Ultra Ball. So we are just hoping for Raz's case that he can find a way to get to the path to the peak, and we'll see what's next.
Exactly. Raz here working with only 1 Archeops, shaking a bit his head. I think he may have depleted most of his special energies, and his cards in hand may not be good at all. Let's see if we can get a peek about what he has in his hand.
Well,
his deck is still full of good cards, by the way.
Yeah, I guess the thought right now is if I can get some damage on with the Raikou, because I'm pretty sure that hand had no access to digging deeper. The classic Roxanne plus Path, a great endgame comeback mechanic for Mew VMAX.
I think there's a boss in his hand. He just needs 1 turn. Chip some damage onto the Mew with the Raikou, but most importantly, put 100 damage, say, on the Genesect. The Genesect cannot run away. And in that case, next turn you can just go, I'm gonna hit you with Luminion, 120 damage onto the Genesect, will grant a knockout with the boss I think he has in his hand, if I saw correctly.
Yeah, that's the Mew VMAX in the active spot, I think has a fair amount of damage done to it as well. I think it might be 240 even from 2 Raikou attacks, so lots of damage on the board, ready for next turn attack. 3 prizes needed for Leon, while there are 2 powered up attackers on Raz's side. Not the ideal end here, but found a way around the Roxanne path for sure, and we'll see what Leon's response is.
Exactly. So, yeah, this matchup is boiling down to which of the players finds their answer first. Yveltal discarded, not an option anymore. Only 1 Archeops is not able to do it. Leon realizes this is going nowhere. Better to go to a game 3 as long as Raz shows him the way to get the knockout.
I mean, it was all on the board there for Raz. He had the Luminion, had the Raikou. Very nicely
if you run
done.
away in that situation with the Mew, you are basically doing only 70 damage, 50 damage even, because of the 20 from the turbo. This means that you will not knock out the Raikou, and you have already a Pokemon with 120 damage in the bench.
Yeah.
That means you're gonna lose the turn after.
Yeah, Leon just seeing all the outs there and recognizing it's not possible, and so has gone for the quick finish there, and we'll be going into game 3 shortly. And I think we'll be seeing a massive benefit of going first again, as the player that has gone first has won their games, and that's key to a lot of these decks, especially the ones that take a bit of setup.
It's important, once again, this is a game, I mean the game of Pokemon right now is very based on evolutions in the form of V-Star and V-Maxes, so going first really makes that difference. What's more is that you will be able to get the Judge plus Path right away, stopping the Lugia player from getting that Summoning Star into effect.
Yeah, we've seen both sides of the coin there. The Lugia struggling to get set up when going second, and the Mew struggling to disrupt enough when going second. So both decks are wanting to go first. On this occasion, it will be Mew that gets to go first in the deciding game, game 3 here. Leon, with that Mew VMAX, will be looking to go first here. Raz, though, has got ways to win the game, and a lot of that pins around that Yveltal that's been prized in both games so far.
So just to reiterate, game 1 was won by Leon, with his Mew VMAX deck, was able to disrupt efficiently the Lugia, which was slowed down by Path plus Judge. Instead, in game 2, the Lugia Vista going first did find the answer. There was a bit of a 2 turns in which the decks stared at each other. Nobody really had an answer for the Path to the Peak.
Yveltal in the prizes.
Yveltal in the prizes. 2 games in a row. Maybe this will be finally its game to shine. It's important to notice that Mew VMAX also runs a copy of the Big Parasol. Maybe also that will get a chance to shine this game. But really, both players have played out to their outs. And Raz is actually starting here with that Lugia, which is great. Let's take a look at the prizes. If it's the same before, 2 Mew VMAX in the prizes.
As we go into game 3 here, Leon starting off with a successful Cramomatic there. And as you mentioned, 2 Mew VMAX in the prizes. There are 3 in the list, so there'll only be 1 available for this game. And we do see Leon checking prizes now. And the Yveltal has escaped the prize cards on this occasion, so Raz will have access to it. There is 2 main ways of getting a one-hit knockout for Raz. One is through that Lugia V-Star, as we saw in game 2. 3 powerful colors plus a Joy Spell is in range of the Mew VMAX. But then for the main approach is Yveltal, which now he has to play around the Big Parasol.
Yep.
Lots to think about here. This game 3 can go either way, despite the first turn being in favor of Leon here.
What we are sure to witness here is Mew VMAX putting up quite a show, drawing, I don't know, 15, 20 cards. Raz, in the meantime, has all the time to think about his life choices that brought him here. In the meantime, we can notice that there is amazing Raikou in the prizes. So, was sold for a soul. Amazing Yveltal gets free, but there must be always someone in the castle.
As we mentioned, the amazing Raikou and Yveltal cannot be played in the same game. They need between them 6 Aurora energy, or if you've got something like a Heat Fire energy or a Speed Lightning or a Hiding Dark, you need a combination of 6 of those, and there's only 1 of those in this, the Heat Fire energy on top of the 4 Aurora. So last game, the amazing Raikou was played after recognizing Yveltal was in the prizes.
Wow.
Typically in this matchup, the Lugia V-Star will look to use the Yveltal to get that one-hit knockout.
Just look at that start from Leon. I know this is the standard that we accepted that Mew does this, but every time I'm just, in awe looking at how many cards and how much board presence.
They didn't get a Forest Seal Stone, so they haven't quite hit
come on,
they haven't everything.
On.
My goodness.
They could have done better. There's an Ultra Ball from Raz, discarding 1 Archeops already, and he's going to probably look for another Lugia, because once again, once he goes second, it is crucial to put down the second Lugia in case the other one gets knocked out. Very likely from looking at Leon's setup.
No Manaphy start, though, this time, so a little bit more bench space to start playing out some of the cards you need. Raz just sort of processing what's in the prizes here, and we'll see what the route of attack is later on. But for the first few turns, as you mentioned, 2 Lugia V and 2 Archeops in the discard pile is the key.
Indeed.
Hopefully it gets that here.
I just want to chant the victories of the Mew deck. It's a deck that probably uses the Judge plus Path. And I mean, not only engine, but like disruption package most efficiently, just for the fact of drawing 15 cards the first turn, and then afterwards not really need that much setup. If you really need to dig for your answers, you have ways in the forms of 2 Lost Vacuums or other stadiums to remove it on your own. But the real matter is that this was sort of pioneered at Toronto, I believe, by Andrew Mahone and other Americans, and it's a really nice fit in this deck list, I believe. I really like this version.
Shout out to Andrew Mahone. Every time I think of him, I just think of his crazy laugh whenever he gets a big win with a crazy deck. But on this occasion, we are not seeing anything crazy on this side of the bracket. On the other side, we do have Stefan Ivanov playing his Gudra V-Star deck with a Lost Engine. They're going to be looking to try and take down the Lost Box with the Rayquaza as the main attacker. So a very interesting matchup there, considering it's a Walling deck that's playing against a deck that has the capability to one-hit knockout. So an interesting back and forth there. Definitely a resource-intensive battle, as we see over here on the other semi-final. Raz will be playing against Leon with 2 of the best decks in format right now, Mew VMAX Lugia V-Star, so a great top 4 here in Liverpool.
Indeed, 2 Archeops already in the discard for Raz. There's going to be a Crumb, but I believe it's always difficult to understand which card is being played when both cards require the discard effect. But that's another heads. That's the second heads this game for Leon. Before it wasn't so lucky in game 2, and we saw how that impacted the game in the long run. But right now he's gonna, he may even, yeah, he for sure has granted a knockout this turn with the power tablet. That's 190 damage with the Technoblast plus 20 more damage on top of that, and a Judge to top it all off.
My goodness, the perfect turn here for Leon, and saving all that luck here for game 3 when it comes to the Chromatics, getting both of them to activate there, and got everything needed to get the knockout here. Is just trying to go down that disruption route. Getting rid of one of the Lugia Vs is great. It starts that prize race. You start taking 2 prizes. Great start. What you really want to do is delay that summoning star for 1 more turn, and then that puts you in favor massively, as every turn in the current format matters.
Exactly. So what's more interesting, people at home may be looking at this and say, well, this is a great situation for Leon. It's very hard for Lugia to come back. But even if, say, a Path to the Peak comes down, even if there's some more disruption from Leon, Raz, as long as he finds a way to remove the stadium.
That's more like it.
Yeah, that's a Tails finally. He still, the Lugia deck can just burst in power out of nowhere. You can charge on Yveltal in 1 turn, and getting the knockout on Mew VMAX doesn't seem such like an effort anymore, but there's the Forest Seal Stone, so he's going to try to dig a little more, and in case he does not find that sweet path to the peak, he will just use it to grab it.
Yeah, we saw that in the other game, though, when the path to the peak was found through the Forest Seal Stone. It did open up the potential for Raz to use a Marnie and disrupt back. But yeah, you really need that path to the peak down. It does make you a little bit more vulnerable, but it's much more important to do that at this stage, especially with pretty much everything set up on the board. You know, Mew VMAX is going to be taken from the prizes. Both double turbo energies down on the Mews. Everything is ready to play the next turn.
Well, he did find 2 stadiums. Unfortunately, at exactly 2 ones he doesn't need in this matchup that much. Therefore, he's going to try to he has 1 more activation of the Fusion Strike system, drawing likely to be 2 cards. Leon looking up in the sky, hopefully drawing that. I mean, using Deep Forest Seal Stone is, you know, it's in the deck for a reason. It's in the deck when you need specifically 1 card, such as now, but it's always nice to keep it later when you need a cross switch or something like that.
Yeah, and protection.
Yeah,
a little bit of protection from your own disruption.
Indeed.
On this occasion, 1 more Fusion Strike system will be available, and if the Path to the Peak comes out through that, then I do see Leon in a near unbeatable position, just having everything set up. And
2 cards. No, I think he's got to surrender to the idea of using the Forest Seal Stone. Yep, that's going to be flipped. Got to look for that path to the peak. A small sacrifice for a much larger purpose. There it is. That's right at the bottom, just taunting him. Excellent. I mean, it would have been worse if it was like the next card of the top of his deck. That would have probably been much more taunting. But this really shows how much respect the Mew VMAX deck needs to bring for the Lugia deck. Because in the moment that you have to run Path to the Peak in a deck that is entirely every one of your Pokemon except your main attacker has an ability, but without the other Pokemon, that one doesn't really work. Like, it just shows how much you need, how much commitment you need for this.
Right, so Raz's side looking a bit barren right now, but for those of you who aren't familiar with the way the deck works, this turn is going to be a very explosive turn if that Path to the Peak is removed from play. Just a Lost Vacuum and a Pumpkaboo as outs to get rid of that stadium. So really needs those to come through here. Otherwise, we'll be struggling to get the Summoning Star activated. I do see an Irida there, so that will be access to Lost Vacuum.
He could right now Ultra Ball, get access to the Pumpkaboo, play the Pumpkaboo, remove the stadium. In that case, then he can go Luminion and go grab a Professor Research. 7 fresh cards, sometimes better, but instead he goes for the safer route. He goes for Irida, gonna probably grab, as you mentioned, the Lost Vacuum.
Could even grab a Manaphy here as discard for the Ultra Ball to get the Lugia V-Star.
Once again, your deck is one of those things that it's always helpful. Not every card in your deck will be needed in every matchup. Therefore, here Raz needs to consider his option.
Evolution Incense there. Yeah. Luminion, Pumpkaboo. So Pumpkaboo can be grabbed through the Ultra Ball. The Evolution Incense can be grabbed as the item card for Irida here. So similar result to what we just described, but just a Pumpkaboo in play. Would rather save that Lost Vacuum for later maybe.
Yep.
might even choose to go down the other route. But we'll see what the plan is here. So Luminion and Evo Incense taken from that Irida. The Luminion, a great option in later turns to grab out the supporter that they need.
Indeed. So placing Luminion in the bench obviously adds 2 prizes that can be grabbed by the Mew play later on, and some Mew players even capitalize on that right away, focusing the Luminion rather than the Lugia, because the Luminion can escape while the Lugia cannot. There's an Ultra Ball. We're gonna see the Pump Kaboo. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it's gonna do. It's gonna fin his deck a little more.
Heat, Fire, Energy gone, so that means all 4 Aurora Energy will be needed if the Charizard comes into play later on.
Yep, 3 energies for the Yveltal, plus 1 left if the Raging Charizard wants to come and join the fun. 2 Archeops finally into the bench, and now it's up to Raz to make something work. If he's able to find this turn 4 powerful energy plus the Choice Belt, then yes, we will have a knockout finally onto the Mew VMAX Void 310 HP, and then the last knockout may be grabbed by that Yveltal Amazing Destruction. But it's a lot to ask. You do have the 4 energies, right? You can go Luminion, grab something, but you already played your supporter for turn. Therefore, what is the play right now? Just doing 120 damage is probably the best chance for him.
And just working out the energy now, the best energy to use in this situation. Thinking of the full reach to get that knockout needs the Choice Belt, and considering has no cards in hand to play, it will need to go down a more conservative route here.
Yeah, he's just going for the chip damage on the Mew, setting it up for a knockout. It's now that the Pumpkaboo is in the bench, Leon can even consider focusing. Oh, actually, Raz is going to give him the Pumpkaboo. It sits at a not very healthy 60 HP. However, Psychic Leap will deal 70 damage, but in that case, we'll leave him only with 1 Mew in play, and he will need a boost effect. Therefore, yeah, Leon is completely excluding that option.
Yeah, it has evolved the Mew V on the bench into a VMAX. That means that the Psychic Leap is no longer available. And maybe a Gust effect will be done here to try and attack a Archeops maybe, and start getting rid of the energy, because that last turn, yes, it put damage onto Mew VMAX, and yes, it took the Luminion out of play, but it also has left Raz with no energy in play, so the disruption of the acceleration here will be a good approach.
What's really interesting is that Leon does run that copy of Echoing Horn. He has it in his hand, therefore he can even shortcut a bit the prize race and try to grab right away 6 prizes with just 3 attacks. He already got a knockout on the Lugia, which is now in the discard pile. There is no way for the Lugia deck to shuffle that back in, so that's always an option. He just needs to consider what is the best outcome for me here. What is the best route for me to reach victory?
That Echoing Horn really does help in the going first against Lugia matchup. As you mentioned, go down the 2-2-2 route. So might even just be able to ignore the Archeops here, attack that Lugia V-Star on the bench, make Raz think he's going down a single prize route, and actually we'll be able to bring that Lugia V back into play. So you can see the 2 power tablets there. They're both going to potentially get played here. Lost City. We'll start going down the Genesect route to see if another option is available. So there's a boss's orders. So that means the Lugia V-Star can be targeted. But it might go down the Archeops route.
It goes down the Archeops.
So there's 2 different angles here. There's one, disrupt Raz by going through all the Archeops so that there is no way to add a Yveltal into play and take away those fast threats there. Or there's the route where we aggressively take out Lugia V-Star, and as you mentioned, Echoing Horn on the Lugia V. I think this is very much the safer route. It's the calmer route, and it's the route which is very much one that he used earlier on in terms of taking out the Archeops to take away options.
Yeah, I mean, the Turbo Strike version is not explosive as the Fusion Strike. He doesn't need to get those big knockouts that the Fusion Strike version needs to get, because you just have every turn 190 damage as your floor for damage. You can always boost them up. He unfortunately, last turn he did use one of the power tablets. So that's one less that he will have access to later on if he wants to try to knock out the Lugia V-Star.
Yeah, and I assume that was a Techno Blast announced by the Mew VMAX, as the Max Miracle 130 minus the 20 plus a power tablet wouldn't have been enough to get an Archeops, but yes, we will see that Mew in the active spot easily switched out with the Mew VMAX on the bench. You know, both of them are just going to be switching back and forth as they turbo blast.
No problem whatsoever. Now it's up to Raz. Once again, the good thing about targeting one of the Archeops, you just basically cut off the possibility of a sudden Yveltal. Basically, every list that we've seen in streaming and basically in the tournament that has done well has run that sweet copy of Amazing Yveltal.
Okay.
So right now, just some more cards for Raz. Caesar, Radiant Charizard may later on finish off that Mew in the bench, but it still requires some energies at this moment. It will require 2 energies, 1 from the deck and 1 from the turbo activation. And what's important is the Prana Turbo can only attach to 1 of your Pokemon, therefore you cannot spread them if you need to retreat somehow.
So we're interested to see the route here. That Charizard is definitely a big one to include in the play because it can be powered up for such few energy late on in the game, and we'll be seeing whether the Lugia V-Star gets powered up halfway to then be used later on. That might be a route to try and hit the big numbers on the Mew VMAX. So we'll see the route that Raz plans to take here. Charizard not quite fully at the single prize attack cost right now. Excited Heart, Pokemon's attack cost is a colorless S for each prize card your opponent's taken. Only 3 have been taken at this point, so it does need a fire energy and another energy to be able to power it up fully.
Exactly. So his route right now is, I mean, if you are Raz, you're currently losing the prize race. Taking a prize now would be great because then it would open your possibility. I mean, I think actually the possibility of one-shotting the Mew is out of the question at this point. The Yveltal route seems to have gone out the window the moment the second Archeops went away, but he still decides to grab it, and I wonder what if he's going to attach there.
The Heat Fire energy was discarded earlier. There is an Aurora energy at the top of the prizes, so cannot use both Charizard and Yveltal at this stage. So whichever route plans to go down will be unavailable. So is looking to put the Aurora energy and a powerful colorless onto that Charizard, which now means that Lugia V-Star cannot get a one-hit knockout on the Mew VMAX.
I mean, I think Raz is just playing his game plan that was offered to him. All the disruption that Leon has provided really slow him down and force him to take some suboptimal choices. There we go. Energies onto the Radiant Charizard. Let's see what he wants to go for here. Just attaching. Oh, he's going to prime it Wisdom. Monkey swap. Let's see what the monkey provides us.
Let's see, so that goes
Banana?
into the
No,
hand.
it's going to be
Evo Incense, not ideal. Retreat there, so powerful
energy.
colorless, another one gone there. Going to attack Charizard into the active Mew
250.
VMAX. 250 onto it. As you mentioned before, Psychic Leap is an option to remove damage from play.
Yeah.
And this is going to be an interesting turn now for Leon, as he is in a very good position with 6 prizes still remaining on the other side.
3 cards in hand, I believe. No possibility to get the Psyche. I mean, the Mew VMAX is going to stick. The bench is full for Leon, and Mew List don't play anymore that single copy of the Scoop Up Net to just do a surprise Mew Psychic Leap. There's a judge
damage
in
is
hand.
sticking.
Yeah.
One on the bench is 120. No, 100 from the Luminion. Might be even 80 because it had a double turbo. Right? So it was a double turbo plus Oricorio.
It was 80 damage because of Oricorio plus the double turbo. But now there's a cross switch on the other Archeops. Really, Leon is trying to cut Raz's legs off. And unfortunately, this spread option is not even there because the Raikou is in the prizes as well as an Aurora Energy.
I mean, the energy right now is not going to be easy to get into play, that's for sure, with both Archeops being taken out.
Poor little Leon really going for his outs, trying to put as much pressure where it hurts. It's just going to Technoblast.
Very smart to go back to the damage one there, because if the Charizard were to attack into the 80 HP taken Mew VMAX, it would be a knockout and would leave a much higher damage Mew VMAX in play.
Exactly. So right now, the Pokemon gets lost because of Lost City. People don't really remember that. It's not really needed for this matchup, but it's still something that the game needs to happen. Stoutland V is not even an option right now. You can draw maybe even 4 prizes, but you don't have the energy acceleration anymore. You don't have the beating heart of the Lugia V-Star deck.
Yeah, the commitment to the Archeops disruption route was great from Leon. As you can see, 2 prizes remaining. Lugia V-Star on the bench. There is also a Lugia that could be Echoing Horn back into play from the discard pile. So Leon now has so many turns to work with now that there is no energy acceleration for the Lugia V-Star. So we are going to be seeing what plans are here for Raz, a Professor's Research, see if they can draw into anything good.
Fresh cards. Is there a magic card that solves you this matchup? I'm not sure. There's a Lost Vacuum. Get rid of the Lost City, but that's not really what he wants. Let's see if Raz has seen something that we haven't. There's an Ultra Ball, just a bit more search in the deck.
Okay. As we mentioned, Leon's Mew VMAX deck is very much about disruption, and the cross switch are a great addition there to be able to disrupt, especially later on in the game once you start thinning out your hand. And let's be honest, early on, it acts as a great item card to remove with a Chromatic, so it's not a dead card when it's just one in your hand early on. And so everything right now working for Leon's deck, despite the situation Raz finds himself in. He's still committing.
Plays. Yeah.
I mean, we've got plenty of time left.
Yeah, you got here at this point. Just try it out. Just try it out. By the way, we have a confirmation, as you can see from the ticker. Stefan Ivanov wins 2-0. We have our first finalist for the Liverpool Regional 2023. 2-0 against Mikey Block. So completely against my expectations, I'm going to be honest with you. Let's see here who's going to be the other finalist.
Gudra V-Star deck will work very nicely into that Mew VMAX.
Oh, into both of those decks, I think.
There's a Drapion in there, so that works really well. And yeah, the walling against the Lugia V-Star deck is great. So 2 prizes taken there, or 3 prizes, sorry, taken there on that Mew VMAX that was damaged with the Charizard. And so now got to find a way to get the damage onto the Mew VMAX. If this Charizard can take a hit somehow, that is an option, but I'm sure that's going to be the target here of Leon.
Right now, the Charizard will knock out the Mew VMAX. He has 80 damage, we have realized. 250 minus 20, that's 230. 230 plus 80 is 310, giving a quick knockout onto that Mew VMAX. And on the other hand, we have in the bench the Lugia V-Star in this other corner with a Choice Belt and a Double Turbo. If there is another Turbo in the deck, he can power it up next turn, in which case it will deal 180 plus 30, which is 210, and therefore not enough.
That's a Judge right there. That's a very old artwork of a Judge, I believe.
Yeah, that is just been a Judge foil from AGSS Undaunted, I believe. Great set. I think it was the first printing ever of Judge, a card that really revolutionized. Back in the day with Young Mega Prime. Yeah, that was great. In any case, enough about the old times. Here we see full Mew technology Judge drawing 4 cards, but I'm pretty sure they're about to multiply like mushrooms.
I don't even think there's a way for this Radiant Charizard in the active to reset. If it wants to retreat and come back, there is only manual retreat through energy. There's no Bird Keeper here, no switch out, so that Charizard is committed.
Hoping that somehow Leon, I don't know, maybe plays an escape rope in the search to thin out his hand. I don't know.
Well, Lugia V-Star on the bench has got a Double Turbo attached to it and a Choice Belt to get the other energy onto that. You know, the Double Turbo is still in the deck, I believe.
Yeah, that's however going to deal only 180 damage plus 30. That's 210 minus even the 20 from the Oricorio, therefore not enough to knock out that Mew VMAX. And poor Raz still has only 3 cards. Oh, that's not even the Choice Belt gone. But yes, it's still 3 prizes. Therefore, yeah, the Charizard is currently the only Pokemon that can knock it out. The other attackers require too much of an energy commitment.
And poor Lugia V-Star has to only attach 1 energy per turn. It must be so tricky for the deck to have to deal with that.
How does it feel down here with us plebs?
Yeah, Lugia. Poor Raz. You know, Raz has piloted this deck so well at this event to get to this stage, top 4. An amazing performance. Right now is really struggling as the disruption from the Mew VMAX has led to no Archeops in play, and now Lugia V-Star struggling to find ways to attach energy in time.
People just forget about the Lost City. Like, once again, the Radiant Charizard trying to sneak into the discard pile, but no, you're going to the Lost Zone. There we go. Lugia into the active. I really wonder what Raz has here.
He's going to try and take a hit with it, I guess, and attach over 2 turns, maybe using a powerful colorless to try and make the damage output high enough.
I'm not even sure. I haven't checked how many energies have been used, how many switch effects have been used.
I think
by
2.
Leon.
Oh, by Leon. I think
there's a cross switch in his hand, so the stall possibility is not even an option for Raz. Just having a last look through his deck.
Okay, so there's
a stout land.
So there's 80 damage right now on that Mew VMAX. That means it needs to be hit for 230.
Getting a money here.
Minus 20, so 250 would be the required amount, right?
For the Mew VMAX, yes, that's correct. 230 HP less, but the Ori Choreo Lesson in Zeal forces it to be 250.
Yeah, so that's going to be real tough for Lugia to reach that number with a double turbo energy on it already, and the choice belt put into the loss zone. So everything right now is going in Leon's favor. All the disruption techniques available have been used, and now Leon is just looking to try and finish off this game.
Yeah, exactly. So the Lugia VMAX will be able to tank 2 hits, and this is what Raz is hoping, that Leon does not have any ways to switch a Pokemon to his bench, but the Mew VMAX player only has 1 prize left. We know for sure that he has 2 cross switches into his hand. Therefore, right now, Raz is just hoping maybe even to attack. I don't even know if he has the energy required to attack this turn.
You can get the Luminion now. The Luminion's available.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone on on that bench is available.
Yep.
1 prize remaining. So
Prime of Wisdom. Let's see what he got.
Play to your outs. This is prime playing to your outs right here with Raz. You've still got time. You know that this is not favoured, but there's always a chance that something doesn't quite go well for Leon.
I believe Raz gave a little heartwarming look to Leon. Leon is just going to show him the 2 cross switches. And that's going to be our second finalist for the TCG Master Final. It's going to be Steven Ivanov against Leon Kesselring. We're going to see once again his fantastic pose. I hope we're not going to get to see this, but here we are.
Well, thank you very much, Leon, for that beautiful pose. Very well played. Leon's highest finish ever, getting into a final. You can see how much it means to him. Going to be going to that final against Stefan Ivanov, a legend of the European scene.
Indeed.
And well played there in that semi-final. So Mew VMAX versus Gudra V-Star will be the final. How do you feel that one's going to go?
So let's think about numbers for a second. Gudra the disruption package does not work as well when the Lost Box engine is involved, because the Path to Peak doesn't work on it. Unfortunately, Gudra V-Star is going to take 80 less damage each time. That's going to mean it's going to be 190 damage base damage minus 80, 110. Yeah, I'm not sure. The numbers look really awkward for the Mew deck, but
there's
obviously
a Draping in there as well, which makes it real tough.
A clunky start, however, from the Gudra deck may mean that a judge may just cut it off. It may just mean that in the early game the Mew VMAX takes the upper hand, and there's never going to be a late game in which Gudra gets to attack with the Rolling Iron each turn. Let's never forget about the V-Star though from Gudra, healing off all the damage from it.
Well, I'm looking forward to this final. I hope you guys at home are looking forward to this final. Let us know in the chat who you're rooting for, the underdog or the mainstay hero of Stefan Ivanov. We will see which one of them takes it in the final. I know personally I'm a big fan of Stefan Ivanov, but I always love an underdog here in Pokemon TCG.
Absolutely.
This is the beauty of the game. You guys at home, if you haven't had a chance to, make sure you go along to a regional at some point. Anyone can make it far through the tournament. We've seen some debut regional players making it into top 8, so there's no reason why you cannot. And if not, it's a lot of fun anyway. There's loads of side events going on here. We've had a great time. But we will be closing out shortly with that final. Is there any final words from you about the whole event and what we've seen?
I think this was a massive event. I think it was very well organized. Juggling 3 main Pokemon games, Pokemon video game, then the card game, and Pokemon Go. Thank you so much for the staff. Thank you very much to the judges. Thank you very much for production for making this possible. You guys just get to see our pretty faces, but you don't get to see there's so many pretty faces in the background that are helping us out.
And then there's Connor. But we do have one more game for you. The final will be coming up soon. I'm sure you guys are all excited. Freya and Shay have been saving their energy for you guys so they can give you everything they have.
I have no voice
to go into this final and give you the energy it deserves. We've had a great time here. I'm sure you guys have too. I just want to check, do we have the ability to go to a break? Lovely. I wanted to check that for you because otherwise you get to listen to us for a bit longer. But rather than that, let's give you a break from our voices. Go take a quick little break, grab a snack, and come back for this amazing final. And we'll see you in just a moment.
Thank you very much, guys. Take care.